This is a tremendous facility. How did you find this place?
I was training a chap, when I say a chap, a world champion, WBA, Super WBA cruiserweight champion, Alson Gulmerian. He normally trains in Big Bear in LA, and they were looking for a coach in Europe a couple of years ago, and they contacted me. Dimitri Salita, who I've been friends with for many years, he contacted me and said they would like to use me to coach Arsenal here in Europe. And first time I came up here was at 2021, and it blew my mind. I thought, wow, this is perfect surroundings, environment for a fighter to prepare for a fight. And I fell in love with the place. And every time we've got a fight of any significance, I always encourage my fighter to come up here. Total isolation. Yeah, you train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep, repeat.
Can you name all the pieces that are involved in this camp as a whole? You got yourself, you're doing the pads, the training, the game planning, but there are other people as well involved in the camp. Yes. Helping Daniel too.
Yeah, we have quite a large team. You know, this is the highest level there is when these young men turn professional and they start competing and winning fights. When you get to this level, this is the pinnacle, isn't it? It's like equivalent playing in the World Cup final. Not many teams make it to the World Cup final. So the way I look at it, compare it, this is the equivalent to that. So you've got to take every opportunity, equip yourself to be able to win fights. You know, there's myself, the head boxing coach. I've got a team by me. Yeah, side by side, we walk together. I've got the S&C coaches, there are two of them. Wade Small being the head S&C coach. You've got Samuel Otti being the other S&C coach. And the boxing personnel, there's, like I said, myself. There's Ian Dewberry, who's been with me from day dot. Mm-hmm. He's my right-hand man, he's my eyes, he's my ears, he's my trusty. And you need that in boxing, you know. You got the physios, and you got the nutritionists. So there's it's almost like a Formula One team that you have all these personnel. They're in the background. They make things happen, you know. And we're a team. We're quite a tight team. And let me not forget, because he will not forgive me, Dubois Senior.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me when Daniel first came on your radar as a fighter?
Yeah. Quite simple. Daniel came on my radar as a fighter, a young, youthful fighter, when he was 17 years old. I got a phone call. They said they had this young 17-year-old. Can we give him some rounds for Derek? I thought, 17-year-old, want to start? And coincidentally, Derek was actually training to fight Tyson Fury for the Tyson Fury Chisora 2, not the third. Daniel was only 17 years old. So I said, okay, fine. Being polite. I said, yeah, bring him along, let him do a couple of rounds. And to my surprise, when this 17-year-old turned up, I thought, surely that's not the 17-year-old, because from the back, it's like a fully grown man. To my surprise, when I came to introduce myself, lo and behold, I saw the young face. He was 17 years old. I was, wow. It was his turn to spar, and he gave a really good account of himself, considering he was only 17. And then his father did ask me back then to get involved. I said, yes, I would be very interested, but with my experience, let him go through his amateur system, because this kid, I believe, would have gone to the Olympics or any of the games, and he would have medaled, quite simply. Coincidentally, his sister, Caroline, she went to the games and she medaled. So therefore, I kind of, after that first meeting, I met him twice. He came twice. He did so well in the first session of sparring with Derek that I invited them back. They came the following week and they did a further more rounds with Derek. And then I didn't see them for many years. The next minute I know, he turned professional. I believe he was 19 years old, you know, to my surprise. And I mean, the rest is history, what he's gone and done in the last 6 years. As life has it, I've done various interviews recently, and I've been consistent with the word of God. I'm a God-fearing man. I've always referred to God. I lean to God, our Maker, the Most High, that this, myself and Daniel joining forces together was meant to be, because he came to me when he was 17. Father asked me to get involved. I didn't take the offer at that point. And then when they came back to have a meeting 14 weeks ago, to be precise, he's been with me now. As you know, he was being trained by Shane McGuigan, who's a very, very good dear friend of mine. Very highly, I mean, look, it speaks for itself how many world champions he's worked with and produced. When I was asked, first thing I did was call Shane and say, by the way, just let you know what's going on, your charge, your young man, Daniel Dubois. He said, look, you can't go into details, but if anyone could train him, he would be happy for me to take over. I look at life as a relay. He's basically handed the baton over to me to run the last leg. Last leg meaning we will go and win this world title against Mr. Uysk. Yeah, they've given me, and coincidentally, when I was at school, I always ran in the position. I always ran the last leg in the relay, 4x4 relay. I always did the last leg, and when I get that baton, I take off. That's exactly what I'm going to do with Daniel Dubois.
What, if there are parts of him that you see in fighters of the past, what fighters would you describe him as? Or any parts you see him from the fighters that have been before him?
Previous fighters, yeah. Jack Johnson, Sonny Liston, and most recently, who I can compare him to, who I'd like him to shape him, mold him into, Evander Holyfield, the real one, the real deal.
What parts of Holyfield would you like to mold into him?
Style, the style of fighting. Remember, he was a former cruiserweight. In fact, I think he started off as a light heavyweight. Then he went into cruiserweight and then became undisputed. He was one of the last, I think he was Lennox Lewis is the last undisputed champion. And prior to that was Evander Holyfield. Yeah, so yeah, that's and physically the way Daniel was built, I want him to develop that Holyfield bounce, that the style. It's nice, rounded. Holyfield can do everything. He doesn't box like a heavyweight.
Now, you mentioned obviously he came over to spar with Derek in prep for the second fight with Tyson Fury. What was Derek's first initial thoughts, if you can remember, of Daniel?
Look, we're professionals. When you get a 17-year-old come to you, you have to carry them. The instructions is like, carry them. There was a guy fighting for a world title. You get a 17-year-old, no matter how good they are, you have to don't take liberties. And in fact, I tell a lie. First session we carried, I invited him back the second week, and Derek became complacent.
Right.
And Daniel saying, "Yo, you got to take me serious." He didn't speak that, but through his boxing, he spoke volumes. And I remember one of the rounds, Derek came back in between the rounds, said, "Listen to me." I said, "Carry him, but don't breastfeed him." In those words. And don't be too complacent, yeah? Because even at that age, Daniel, I could see this kid can whack. And he was fearless, and very determined. So, yeah, Derek had to raise his game, basically. Because otherwise, he can't, as much as we want to look after this young man, we'll respect, man.
A lot of hype around Daniel in the initial phase of his career in turning pro, and he was a demolition job, wrecking through essentially all of his opponents. What did you keeping track of him through his career before you received him into your camp? What did you make of his career trajectory so far?
Yeah, listen, Frank Warren is a mastermind developing fighters. The history speaks for itself. The amount of legends that's come out of Frank Warren's stable of fighters over the years. So he's a master, like I said, he's a mastermind at planning people's careers. He's done it countless times successfully. So it was inevitable that he would maneuver not an easy job. The matchmaker, working in conjunction with the promoter, it's not an easy job. And yeah, they did a very, very good job to get him to where he got till you're probably going to ask me that next. So we had a little setback with the JoJo situation. Joe brought a lot of experience, and he used all that experience to negate his way into getting the victory over Dubois. And when I look at it now, not because I'm in front of camera saying to you, even when it happened, setbacks sometimes, as human beings, we think it's the end of the world, They happen for reasons. When I was younger, I too questioned a lot. When things happen, when things don't go your way, you think it's the end of the world. You question why? Okay, that's the way it's been written. And those setbacks, and look at him today, And who's to say, had he succeeded against Joe Joyce, what would have happened to him with the next few contests? Who's to know? Yeah. So when that little setback, again, Frank Warren being a genius, was able to get the young man, brush him off, and come again. And look where he is today.
We'll hold off on Joyce for a second, but what were you like as a 25-year-old as Daniel is now?
Right. I'm glad you asked me that question. In comparison, I was 25 and I was still competing at the ABAs. Yeah, I was still an amateur. I never turned professional, but at the age of 25, I was in my prime. People are becoming world champions at 25. I was still doing the amateurs. I was doing the ABAs when I was 25. Mm-hmm. So you could see how well this young man has done. He's a current, let's not forget, WBA regular. He's a world champion. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, that's the belt. He's still highly regarded. Many boxers would like to say they won the WBA regular. Not many have won it. He's got it currently.
How about in terms of mentality and maturity as a person when you were 25?
I was, the minute I came into this planet, I was mature because of my background, African background, the way I grew up. I won't go into it. It's the story for another day. I was in a war, a civilian war. My country was in a civilian war. I'm known as a Nigerian now, but originally I'm known as a Biafran.
Does Daniel's career, in terms of knocking all his previous opponents out, maybe kind of hinder him in his way, a bit of a blessing and a curse in terms of his formative years in his career?
Yeah, you could look at it that way. I'm always dubious or suspicious of we call them knockout merchants, because when the acid test comes, like you said, everyone's a human being. You could say people could get carried away and focus mainly on that instead of developing other areas of their art, of craft. So you could, there is a point that could be the case, not just on Daniel, in the history of boxing, especially in the heavyweight division, who become very reliant on knocking out their opponents. Mm-hmm. And like the great Mike Tyson, for instance, in the early part of his career, was brutalized and knocking out everyone inside 4 rounds, 6 rounds max. And then later on in his career, you could see the frustration when he didn't knock out the opponent after 4 or 5 or 6. He got really frustrated later on in his career, and that's what can happen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there is a point of that. It could be a hindrance, it could be a curse, yeah. But you know what? Nobody's complaining. The audience, that's what the audience want to see. The audience want to see that, and that's always gonna be the case. You have these natural punches, and Daniel falls into that category as a natural puncher.
You've had the chance, like we mentioned, to see him growing up, see him now in the ring yourself. Is he more than just being someone who can KO his opponent? Is there more to him than just that?
Most definitely. I've discovered that since I've been working with him, my goodness, there's so much dormant components that needs to be opened and activated. That's my findings in the short space of time I've been working with him. Mm-hmm. His IQ is very good, boxing IQ, and I'm really excited. The process of obviously, I've been that's typical my luck. Yeah, I embrace it. Be nice to have inherited him and had a good run up to, fight for the biggest prize in the sport. But guess what? I never shy away from any challenge. It's a massive challenge. Am I ready for it? I was born for this. When I came into this is what I came into it for, to be privileged and blessed to be in this position. I'm absolutely, how can I say to you? My feet hasn't touched the ground since I got the job. Yeah, it's like you're training. It's like you're in let's say in the championships. Yeah, which is still a good level very good level. Because from the championship, if you're successful, you go into the Premiership.
Right.
Let's say that I was in the championship, for instance, then I get promoted into the Premier League. I was in the Premier League with Derek Chisora. I was. Been there for many years. Yeah. And I, as a coach, got relegated. But I came straight back into, and I got a big job. It could be by Tottenham Hotspur, my team. I could be, I won't mention our neighbours, they know who they are. I probably would have turned it down if they gave me the job too. I'm being serious. I would take the Man City job all day long. Yeah. Chelsea job, yep, definitely. My Tottenham fans will hate me for that. But definitely, it's like getting from the championship and getting a head coach of Tottenham Hotspur. And that's how I look at this position that I find myself in. And I've embraced it, and I'm going to exploit it and make it count. There's no point getting the position. You're only judged on results. It's cruel. If you get it wrong, oh my God, you don't even want to live in this world. That's how it feels. Yeah, because there's a wicked people out there. They're vicious. If you get it right, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, but I know who I am. I always give my best. It would definitely not be from lack of trying, but I really, truly, in the bottom of my heart, I've always felt from day one when we were told that this is the fight we're preparing Daniel for. I thought, okay, let's get it on. I've got the experience to put into this young man to aid him to lift those belts on the 26th of August in Poland.
You highlighted Daniel being a high IQ fighter and an intelligent fighter in the ring, something that he'll no doubt need on August 26th to DC Oleksandr Uysk. Why do you think the public don't really mention Daniel being that intelligent fighter? We kind of just highlight the KO side of it.
Yeah, because exactly. So again, their focus is they're drawn into that KO stuff, right? And they haven't paid attention. I'm a coach, I have to pay attention. Even prior to me training him, there's various things he used to do. I thought, oh my God. And I've also had the privilege of taking my heavyweights. I've got two heavyweights, apart from Derek. I've got two other heavyweights, Harry Armstrong, and also my own son, George Fox. Yeah, so on numerous occasions, we've gone down to Shane's gym to spar Daniel, and I get to see a lot in those sessions. So yeah, it's not just what you see on TV, it's that as a coach, you get to see these guys when they're not on TV, when they're behind closed doors, yeah.
That Joyce fight, as we mentioned previously, is obviously a pivotal point in his career. Look, a lot of fallout from that fight, mostly coming from the boxing public and pointing the finger at Daniel, maybe seeing something that they didn't want to see aside from him. Where did you stand on that when you first initially saw that fight play out how it did?
Right, obviously, I actually thought that there was an interview I did on a platform. I won't promote them on your platform, it wouldn't be fair. And if the roles were reversed, that's what I'm like. I was asked about what was the outcome of that fight between Dubois and Joyce. And I said, as much as I'd like to say Dubois with his explosive power, I said, but I think this fight is a bit too premature for him. Those were my words. You can go back and check it. I said it was a bit premature for him. And hence why, when you go and look at the result, my pre-fight prediction was accurate. It was too premature. Joyce is well-traveled, well-seasoned, an Olympian. He's met every style there is to meet. Can Daniel knock him out? Yes, he can. Many have tried to knock Joyce out. Yeah. So, it was too premature for him.
How about the reaction from the fight public who...
Oh, like I said to you, I don't really read everything. You hear. I make my point not to read, but you hear other people. Like I said, the world we live in, especially with the aid of the internet. Internet is good, but the internet is also very, very bad. It's changed the world that we live in to how we knew the world. and everybody is an expert. Everybody is a critic. And, most of these people have never spent a day jogging, to get fit. They sit on their couch, and yet again, they'll be the first to condemn you. Poisonous tongues, vicious, wickedness, and it's outrageous, really. The amount of abuse and he got for that, and to the degree people were saying he quit. It's used very loosely. I'm not saying this defending the young man because I'm sitting here. Again, I gave a couple of interviews on that, and again, if you go back and watch it, I said no, he did not quit. Now, when I even look back at it, that was a smart thing for him to have done. Not being macho, live to fight another day. God knows, only he knows the pain he was feeling. Have you ever been pushed in football or whatever, or if you did judo and someone pushes your eye?
Yeah.
It feels like it goes to the back of your head. The pain, I've had it done, and the pain, you can't describe the pain unless you felt it. If I can compare to that, I have felt that type of pain, but probably not to the degree, because he was being literally punched in the eye continuously. So he had the sense to take what we call in boxing a knee. There is such a thing. You are allowed to take a knee. Okay, that could mean that you've lost that round. So he took a knee, in my opinion, and thank God he had the sense, the intelligence to take a knee. Some people are too macho. And then Joe Joyce would have probably, he would have got KO'd, and then it's hard to come back from literally a KO where you've been knocked out mentally. Some fighters are never the same if they get knocked out. So look at him today. Look at him today. The same, Joyce has also suffered from the same fate. Of his career being derailed. He's about to have his own rematch with Zhang. Again, I called that result. That it was all wrong. I knew of Zhang. I knew how good he is technically, and I knew that was going to be the result.
We don't get to see, once the cameras are turned off, we obviously don't track and follow what's happening behind the scenes. We don't get to see that. You've obviously been with a number of heavyweights, and at the highest stage they've suffered defeats, and Daniel suffered defeat at his highest stage to date so far. What does it take to, bring a level of support so the fighter doesn't feel alone during those periods? And do you think Daniel got that?
Gosh, listen, luckily for someone like Daniel, his dad was there, and his brothers and sisters. It's a large family. I'm sure they're all gathered together to help and aid their brother and Stan's son, to bring him back to his mind, reset his mind, and get on with it again. Dust yourself off and get on with it.
Mm-hmm. And now, as you mentioned, you've received that proverbial baton from Shane McGuigan to yourself, others involved.
It's a 4x4. So let's take it from the beginning. Martin Bowes ran a bloody good leg, because in the relay, if you drop the baton when the gun fires, then you're out of the race. So he ran his leg, passed it over to Mark Tibbs for a short period. I don't think he fought under Mark Tibbs, but they worked together for a short period, I believe. Then the baton was then from Mark Tibbs from Martin Bowes to Mark Tibbs to Shane McGuigan. Shane ran a tremendous. Listen, now I'm glad we're saying this, because Shane got him to wear the belt he's now wearing around his waist, which promoted him, which put him in a position of this mandatory challenge to Oleksandr Uysyk's unified belts. And now, let's not forget how he got in there. Fighting Kevin Lorana. Yeah. And you saw what happened. Daniel touched canvas 3 times in that fight, early in the fight. His knee had given way. Yeah. Okay. And I don't think this is publicly known. I will say it because it's something to be proud of. It's not something to be hidden. He was advised by experts that he was due an operation on that knee, but they don't know when it's going to go. They couldn't give you a time. It could go anytime. It could go in a year's time, or it could go tomorrow. But take a chance. They took a chance. And lo and behold, it went during that fight.
Right.
And to get off that ground 3 times with one leg, 2 things here. You got the coach Shane didn't panic, did not panic, held it together. Because when the coach panics, the fighter suddenly will panic. Yeah? And coached him. It's almost like aeroplane losing a fault in one of the engines, and it's gonna crash. And the ground control was able to talk, and then the pilot say, yo, don't panic. Got passengers on that plane. Bring it down. They guided, collectively they guided it. That's what Shane did on that night. He did not panic. Guided Daniel and the knockout he delivered on Kevin Lerona is a spectacular knockout. Mm-hmm. Like Daniel, in his own words, in a devastating fashion. He likes saying that. Yeah. So remarkable.
Receiving Daniel from Shane, is he about as complete a fighter in terms of his foundations, built from the previous trainers beforehand, and then coming to yourself?
Most definitely. I've been very vocal about that particular point, being that it's probably one of the first times that I've inherited. I use the word inheritance. Inherited a fighter in the caliber of Daniel Dubois. No fighter has ever come to me with a belt, a high belt, a world title belt. He's a world champion. A regular belt, fine, but he's a world champion. Yeah, I've never had that in my 20 years of coaching. So that's why this one's different. Yeah, he's an established fighter with good fundamentals. I haven't had to start building the building from, the foundation was already built. The foundation was already built. So for me, being an expert that I am, heavyweight specialist, to put those bricks on those foundations, yeah, I think I can do that.
You're in the position that you're in now, and August 26th is go time against Oleksandr Uysk for the unified titles. I'm talking ideals here. In an ideal world, would you have had this fight further on so you can establish the fights under your belt with Daniel?
I would be a liar if I've always alluded to that point. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna. Someone says to you, you've qualified to play in the World Cup. They've got rid of the manager. Will you take this team and represent their country? Are you gonna turn it down? No, hell no. I'm gonna do everything humanly possible. Yeah, this is what I was born for. This, and this is a work of God, in my opinion. The way it's happened, I've always been very vocal about that particular point. Because there was no warning sign. There's nothing, no lead up. Shane's my friend. Yeah, me and Shane talk regularly. There was no like, oh, you know what? Will you train Daniel Dubois for me? It was not. There was not. Me and Shane, most weeks we talk about everything, boxing, life, everything. You know, I'm good friends with his father, so got really good, and I still have good relationship with them. You know.
Now, in the opposite corner, of course, is Oleksandr Uysk, who you're looking to dethrone. For your eye, for your radar, what is he like as a fighter? Can you describe his skills to me in the ring?
Oleksandr Uysk. Well, I've always said that also. I mean, when it comes to IQ, boxing IQ, he scores very, very high. He's an A-star student, boxing IQ. When it comes to boxing technique, again, he scores very, very high. You could also mark him A-star based on what he's already shown and what he's achieved. Yeah? And I mark him very, very high on most departments. But guess what? He's a human being that breathes oxygen, bleeds red blood. So therefore, he can be beat.
The mind games, have they started, Don?
Most definitely. People, from my experience with Derek Chisora, I learned so much on the road with Derek Chisora. And Derek Chisora is our master of mind games, master of press conferences. Yeah? Tyson Fury is the king of the press conferences and mind games, followed secondly by Derek Chisora, master of press conferences and mind games, followed in third position is Mr. Dylan White. Yeah, these guys are press conference specialists. Yeah, and they've already started within this fight. And Daniel's not a trash talker. Yeah, if you watch the press conference that we had in London, now in Spain, I was more vocal than ever. I've never spoken on the top table like that. That was all deliberate. But Daniel he's not that way. He's not interested in that part. He just wants to have a fight. Yeah, you get some fighters like that. They just want to do the talking with their fists, and he falls into that category.
Right.
Yeah. So I felt I needed to say certain things to balance, because USYK plays his mind games. Yes, he does. Yeah. I felt I needed to throw some problems. He's a human being. He's got high IQ. There's a few things that I deliberately dropped into those during those press conferences that he will pick up on. That he's an intelligent man and food for thought.
What do you think he was trying to do with the rapping?
It's just to throw any. People don't understand that the fight is already started. The fight has already started. Yeah. And the fight will start from the first press conference, which you were there.
Yeah.
In how do you pronounce that town?
Warsaw.
Warsaw.
That was Warsaw.
It was Warsaw. That's right. Then we went 3 hours to the stadium to Wrocław. Wrocław. Oh my God. I pronounce it how it's written. Yeah. Pardon my ignorance.
No worries.
So, yeah, the battle starts then. It's mind games, body languages. I pick up, because I've been on the road for a long time, so I pick up everything, you know?
Would you class Oleksandr Uysk as the best at heavyweight? Look, Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Uysk would battle out for the best, but would you call him that?
No. By far, no. He's an exceptional cruiserweight, which he was the undisputed. No. Again, I'll say it. If Tyson, why the fight hasn't happened, I don't know. Tyson Fury would play with Oleksandr Uysk. Play with him.
In the simplest terms, what are you looking to do with Daniel in this time period that you have heading into the fight?
What I'm planning to do with him, or what do I believe will happen?
What are you planning to do? Work on in terms of the training camp?
Working on the areas that to equalize and surpass what USYK does. And you know what USYK does. You watch boxing. I'm not going to elaborate on that. We've watched him. I watched him before I started training Daniel Dubois. I know the areas that he scores very high, and we will equalize, do things, provisions. We'll make provisions to accommodate the areas that he scores very, very high. Will he make provisions to what we're bringing? Because remember, they can only train for the Daniel Dubois that they've seen, that everybody has seen. That's all they can go by. Yeah, I'm sure they're planning other things as we speak. We're planning things, like I said, to be able to accommodate and surpass in most cases, which we have to be better than in the areas that scores high. We have to match it and beat it.
Are there parts of the Derek Chisora fight that you'll take, and the 2 fights with Joshua you'll take?
Most definitely. The template is there too. I'm not going to elaborate again. I know. I'm experienced enough, and I believe I've got the athlete, physically and mentally, very determined, young, hungry. We're all hungry. In fact, USYK alluded to the fact towards the ending of the press conference in London. He said, "I am hungry," and I heard it because I was at the other end. I intercepted. I said, "So are we?" And I even went further. I said, "In fact, we're more than hungry. We're starving," which is the truth. We are hungry for success. We're starving for success. And that's a very dangerous outfit, fighter team. When your belly is empty, you do wonderful things in life, in any walk of life. This is not just boxing. Yeah, people achieve most in their lives when their belly is hungry, and we're starving.
One specific thing I want to mention to you, and AJ's team in the second time round picked up on it, and they brought in a coach in specifically, was the wrestling side of Usyk's game. Is that something that you highlighted and looking to work on with Daniel? Wrestling, the grappling.
Again, I know nothing.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate and respect that.
Manuel from 40 Towers.
Yes, I watch 40 Towers.
Yeah,
they're doing
the
a
character. Character, Manuel.
Manuel, that's right.
I know nothing. I see nothing.
Fair enough, Don. Look, can Daniel win in other means on August 26th, or is it just a case of going there and doing a demolition job?
By any means necessary, says Malcolm X. By any means necessary.
Is it a huge upset if he wins?
We won't be upset. We'll be joyous. Yeah. We're not here to play. We're here to change our lives, man. Yeah. I'm 61 years old. How many more times am I going to get this kind of opportunity? Yeah. I personally gonna aid my boy, my son. He's all my boxers I train are my son. I treat them like my children. Yeah. I will aid him with anything that he will need to back up and support what he already has. A very dangerous young man on the 26th of. He's showing me that already in training. He's showing me that in training. So the confidence one has, you have to draw it from various areas. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, I'm very, very confident. You can't be arrogant. I'm not an arrogant person. I'm very confident, but that confidence comes from various areas.
Now, you mentioned like you're a man of faith. You believe there's everything for a reason, and fate has brought you and Daniel together. Fate will be bringing yourself, Daniel, and Uysk together, who are three Christian men. You firmly feel that this has been written for you.
Most definitely, that's my firm. This is a holy war. This is a spiritual war. I'm glad you said that. If you draw that comparison, yeah, this is a spiritual war. It really is more spiritual than it is physical.
Undeniably, it can't swerve you if you pull off the victory against Oleksandr Uysk. Is that something you can't? You've got to get the victory first, but you're hoping to receive and would feel the sweetness of it if you do get it.
Right. All I'm praying for, I have prayed for, is for the victory. I don't need no one to praise me. I don't need no one to recognize me. I know who I am. I recognize myself. I don't need no validation. I don't. It would be nice to be recognized by the industry that you're in, but my whole thing doesn't revolve around that. No, just winning this thing justifies myself to my belief from the beginning when I started my career that I want to be good enough. I will be known as one of the greats. Yeah, like my late mother, God rest her soul, she always says to me when I was growing up, the people who achieve, the people who fly to the moon, the astronauts, the people who achieve in life, they've got one head like you, one nose, two nostrils, two eyes, one mouth. Anything is possible basically. So I want to be known as one of the greats by winning this fight, getting Daniel to win this fight on the 26th. Yeah.
Final two questions. What's inspiring you to get the victory?
Life.
What happens on August 26th?
Victory.
Don, real pleasure. Thanks for being in Seconds Out. Good man.
Victory, my apologies. I didn't say to who. For Daniel Dubois and his team.
All the best.
God bless you.